You've been told all your life that success is about hard work, persistence, or maybe even luck. But what if none of that is the true key? What if the real power lies in something invisible? Not in what you do, but in what you assume. Neville Goddard, one of the most influential mystics of the 20th century, claimed that assumption is not just wishful thinking. It is the hidden law that shapes reality itself. In this video, we will dive into Neville's greatest secret, the power of assumption. We'll explore what it means, why it works, and how you can use it to transform your life. By the end, you'll see reality itself in a completely different way. And to understand Neville's wisdom, we first need to understand the man himself. Who was he, and how did he unlock this mystery? Before we can trust someone's wisdom, we need to know their story. Who was Neville Goddard, and how did an ordinary man become a teacher of mystical laws that thousands still follow today? Neville was born in 1905 on the island of Barbados. He grew up in a large family, one of 9 children. His early life was not marked by luxury or wealth. He lived an ordinary existence. But inside, Neville burned a deep desire to understand the mysteries of life. When he moved to New York as a young man, he pursued theater, but something deeper called him, a hunger for spiritual truth. His life changed when he met an Ethiopian mystic named Abdullah, who became his teacher. Abdullah introduced him to the esoteric teachings of Scripture and the hidden laws of the mind. Neville discovered the truth. Imagination is not fantasy, but creation. The world outside is a reflection of the world inside. And assumption, the act of living inwardly as if your desire is already real, is the master key. But before we uncover how assumption works, we must break down the biggest myth that keeps most people blind: the illusion of effort. We've been sold a lie, that more struggle equals more success. But what if your effort is not the engine at all? What if something else, something invisible, actually determines your destiny? Our culture is obsessed with effort. Work hard and you'll succeed. Struggle is noble. But Neville flips this upside down. Reality is not moved by struggle. Reality is moved by consciousness. Your outer life is nothing more than the shadow of your inner state. Instead of pushing against circumstances, the real work is to assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. This is not passivity. It is inner activity of the highest order. But what does Neville actually mean by assumption? Let's break it down. Here's the real question. What does Neville actually mean by assumption? Is it just daydreaming, or is it the master key to creating reality? Neville said, "Assumption, if persisted in, will harden into fact. To assume is to feel and live inwardly as though your desire is already realized. It is not merely thinking. It is entering the state of the wish fulfilled. When you imagine it so vividly and consistently that it becomes your dominant reality, the outer world rearranges itself. Why? Because consciousness is the only reality." Skeptical? Let's look at a true story from Neville's own life. Let's see what happened when Neville himself put assumption to the test. This is the story that convinced even his own doubt. During the Great Depression, Neville longed to visit his family in Barbados, but he had no money for a ticket. His teacher Abdullah told him, "You are in Barbados. Live there in your imagination as though you are already there." Neville imagined himself walking the streets of his homeland, smelling the salt air, hearing the voices of his family. And then, out of nowhere, his brother sent him a first-class ticket to Barbados, exactly as he had assumed. The world conformed to his inner state. But why does this resonate so deeply in our souls? Because assumption touches something far older, an archetype buried in the human psyche. Why does this teaching feel so ancient, like something we've always known? Because it speaks to an archetype buried deep in the human psyche. From a Jungian perspective, Neville's teaching embodies the magician archetype, the one who transforms reality through vision. Assumption is alchemy. It is identity. Not positive thinking, but becoming. When you assume a new reality, you activate unconscious forces. You step into myth, into the collective dream. But this isn't just philosophy. Neville gave us a practical formula. Let's explore how to use it. It all sounds beautiful, but how do you actually do it? Here's Neville's step-by-step formula for turning imagination into fact. 1. Define your desire clearly. 2. Construct a simple scene that implies its fulfillment. 3. Enter a drowsy state before sleep. 4. Feel the scene vividly. 5. Persist until it feels natural. This is the sacred practice Neville taught, assumption in action. But does it really work? Let's hear what happened to his students. Still wondering if this works in real life? Listen to what happened when ordinary people dared to assume extraordinary things. Students assumed wealth and found inheritances. They assumed health and recovered. They assumed love and found partners. One woman imagined herself in a new apartment. Weeks later, she was offered the exact place she had visualized. Coincidence? Neville would say, no, it is law. Yet there's a hidden danger, and it's the reason most people fail. Here's where most people fail, and it's not where you think. The real danger is not outside circumstances. It's the silent enemy inside your own mind. They imagine wealth, then worry about bills. They imagine love, then think, no one will want me. Assumption must be consistent. Doubt collapses the structure. Neville warned, you cannot assume freedom and continue to be enslaved by old thoughts. To understand this fully, let's step into a dream image, a mirror that reveals the truth of assumption. Let me paint you a picture. What if the world is not solid, but a mirror? What if every assumption is a handprint left on that glass? Imagine a dark forest. You carry a lantern. The path is shaped only by where you shine the light. So it is with assumption. Your inner flame shapes the outer scene. Now pause, because the next part is the essence. The one truth Neville repeated again and again. Pause here. Breathe. Because what I'm about to repeat is the heart of Neville's message. The one truth that can rewrite your entire life if you let it sink in. Assumption, if persisted in, becomes fact. Your inner state is the cause. The outer world is the effect. What you feel inwardly will solidify outwardly. This is law. But is assumption only psychology? Or is it the very faith spoken of in Scripture? Some say assumption is just wishful thinking. But what if it is the very faith spoken of in Scripture? The missing key that religion left hidden in plain sight. When you pray, believe you have received, and it will be yours. Faith is not begging a distant God. Faith is assumption, the conviction that what you desire is already yours. To assume is to pray. To persist in assumption is to create miracles. But how do we trust this invisible process? Let's end with a parable: the seed and the harvest. Imagine a seed in the soil, unseen yet alive. What if every assumption you make is such a seed, waiting for its harvest? The farmer does not dig up the seed daily. He trusts. He assumes the harvest is inevitable. So too with your desires. Plant them, persist, trust the rhythm. And now, the final question. What are you assuming about yourself? Now the question is no longer about Neville. It's about you. What are you assuming? And is it building the life you want or the one you fear? Because your assumption is not private. It is the mold in which life pours itself. Choose wisely. Persist boldly. Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, and you will watch your world transform before your eyes. Neville Goddard left us a great secret, but it is only a secret until you use it. The power is within you. The power is assumption. If you found this message powerful, remember to like this video, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs to hear Neville's wisdom today. And tell me in the comments, what assumption will you begin living from today?